Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Jazz Trumpeter Marcus Printup. We talked to him on May 4th, 2020, during the early stages of the COVID-19 lockdown, about his newest 2020 CD, Gentle Rain. He was born and raised in Conyers, Georgia, and his first musical experiences were hearing the fiery gospel music his parents sang in church. He's gone on to record with the best in the business like Betty Carter, Wycliffe Gordon, Eric Reed, and so many others. And he made his screen debut in the 1999 movie Playing by Heart and recorded on the film's soundtrack. August 22nd has been declared Marcus Printup Day in his hometown of Conyers, Georgia. What an honor, man. He talked about all of this and so much more. Enjoy.
Cool, man. Hey, so where are you located exactly?
Yeah, we're in North New Jersey, in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Is it getting any better? You guys, I know that especially New York's been rough. You guys getting any better up there?
Yeah, the thing is we've not been out. I mean, the only times we go out is to get grocery, and even getting groceries, because our city and our region, let's see, it's I think it was like the most hit in all of New Jersey because it's right next door to New York City. I mean, I can hop in the car and be at the Lincoln Tunnel in 15 or 20 minutes with no traffic. So it's really close. So a lot of New Yorkers actually come here, to our city and to Paramus and Hackensack and the surrounding areas just to get groceries. And so I think that's why that's a big reason why it's also been spread here. So my wife and I drive an hour and a half away to a city that hasn't been hit as much, just to get groceries. So we've done that. Let's see. We've made 3 trips in the past, 7 weeks. So we only get out once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks to stock up on a bunch of groceries. But that is it. We're being really precautious, and we don't want to get sick.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well,
yeah.
Obviously it goes without saying that we're living through a pretty surreal time. So thanks for taking a minute. I think talking about the music's probably a good idea.
Of course, most definitely, man. Always.
Yeah, without a doubt. So the one thing that I've been asking musicians that are releasing material during this time is it has to be bittersweet. There's something about being able to put out your music, and people might have more latitude to listen to it now, but you can't back it up with live music. So talk to me a little bit about that dichotomy.
Yeah, my wife and I have been putting out a lot of educational content. We have a nonprofit. It's called Remarkable Music and Education. It's rmfae.org, and we've been putting out a lot of videos for kids, just teaching kids how to play the blues, teaching kids how to sing the blues and how to write blues phrases, and just a lot of different things. But nothing replaces being in the classroom where you can actually see them and they can see the instruments and like maybe touch the instruments. But we're making do with what we have. But also Jazz at Lincoln Center, we've recorded I think 3 or 4 how do you call them, like virtual, where we're remote in our own homes, and then we all have our iPhones, and there's a rhythm track that we play to, of course, wearing our headphones, and then with another camera, they video, my wife will videotape me playing the part, and then we send all the parts to the engineer at Lincoln Center, and then they put out this great music. I mean, that's fantastic, and I think the thing about this is that we all know that there's no replacement for live music, like whatsoever. But the thing I love about, not just America, but the world, is that we find ways to get by, and we find ways to still prosper. For instance, there's a brother of mine, he's over in Prague. His name is Emil Vycliffe, and I've gone over to play, with him maybe 3 or 4 times, and I met him when he was commissioned to write a work for the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra about, I think, 10 or 12 years ago. But we stayed in touch, and we're good friends. So he just called me. He said, "Hey man, let's play let's play a blues." I was like, "Sure." So he sent me a track of him playing, and I played on top of what he played. And then he got a bass player, and so we just put it out online a few days ago, and it's great. We're still making music, and this pandemic will not stop music from happening. It may take a lot of things away. I know a lot of people have lost loved ones. I've lost a few key friends as well, in Ellis Marsalis and Wallace Rooney. They left us, and I know that other people have lost as well. So something profound, and I guess I'm kind of going off the subject, but that's what I have a tendency to do. But something profound about all of this is I was talking to Winton, and he was saying how he spoke to Ellis maybe like a few hours before Ellis passed away, and Ellis is like, hey, you know what? People are dying from this, and if I die, I'm just going to be amongst all these other people, but the world is not going to stop. So you just got to keep going. So Ellis is such a strong man. He looked death in the face and said, this is just a process of life. So if it's my time, it's my time. Well, it's your time, it's your time. And that just kind of explains the cycle and how we cope and how we manage, and that's what. And I think that's where the music comes in, because the music gives us comfort, the music gives us hope, the music gives us promise, and that's why we do the best that we can do.
I saw Winton on 60 Minutes about 2 weeks ago, and they were on the stage, which is very weird that it's just empty in there, and he's just not sure what's going to happen. But they asked him, they said, what would Ellis say to you? And he just looked at the guy right in the eye and said, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Exactly.
What are you going to do?
Exactly. That's Ellis.
That's it. And that wraps it up right there. So I did speak to Delfio about 2 or 3 days before that, and was talking to him about World Party, and they just have a wonderful dynasty of music, and it's going to continue to go. But so how did a kid from Conyers, Georgia, grow up to become an esteemed jazz musician as you are?
I have no idea, man. I mean, I kind of had a jazz band in high school, but it was more so a stage band, and I did have this great, I can call him my first mentor. Well, after my mother and father and my grandfather and my sister, but as far as jazz, his name was David Hudson, and he was the middle school music band director, and he taught my sister before me. And when my sister was in the jazz band, she's 4 years older than I am. They had a concert, and I saw him playing the tenor sax. And I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. Like, every time he played, the audience would go, woo, 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 because there's no jazz. I mean, he was the only jazz at all in Conyers, Georgia. So he was like a novelty, so that was my first influence. But it didn't really hit me until, later on in life, like after I was in college for a few years. I mean, I played in the jazz band, but I really didn't practice and didn't know what I was doing, but that spark was lit by David Hudson. He was actually a bishop, so Bishop David Hudson, and he passed away about, I think, in 2006, and I got the chance to play at his service, which is awesome. But I didn't know anything about jazz at all, and then I just kind of kept it in my pocket, and just those sounds that I heard from him. But when I would go to church, I realized that, I realize now that they were playing a form of jazz. I mean, if we call jazz an improvisation, there's a lot of improvisation going on at our church. I mean, you could have the entire congregation singing Amazing Grace, but everyone sounded different, and everyone had, just like different inflections that they would put in the music just to make it, just to make it personal. And that is a staple behind how I play jazz today. Is I'm actually preparing to do a lecture on Wednesday about gospel to blues to jazz, and that's how I play jazz. Like I've been notes. So I mean, if I'm playing that on my trumpet, if I were to play those notes just like they're written without any inflection, it would be like this. But that's that bend up to the note and then that little waver. So that's what defines me as a jazz musician and as a musician and as a person. and as a soul. So, then I, started, to gain an interest in jazz, and then just started learning theory and applying the theory to the soul that I got when I was growing up, and that basically is it in a nutshell. Just going to church and just feeling that soul that I felt in the same way that blues musicians feel their soul as well, like Coleman Hawkins, the way he played blues, Ben Webster, Louis Armstrong, my guy, Billie Holiday. So, and it just happened, and I'm still learning and trying to get better. So,
right on. Well, I know Marcus Roberts was a big mentor, and that seemed like a big growing period for you. Talk to me a little bit about his influence on you.
Yeah, well, Marcus was that's a great segue. Marcus is the first whoever who told me that I could use that gospel influence that I spoke to you about and play jazz. So I met Marcus in my second year at the University of North Florida. I spent 3 years at Georgia State University, and I was kind of going through the motions and didn't really know what I wanted to do. But then I transferred to the University of North Florida, and it was a great program. It still is a great program. And for the first time, I was in a jazz band, or just surrounded by students who were like-minded. So we pushed each other to practice. We pushed each other to get better. So, but they also had a great artist in residence series, and Marcus Roberts was one of the artists that came there. We had cats like Pat Metheny, Eliani Elias came there, Harry Connick came there, Michael Brecker came there. I mean, a lot of serious cats came there. Oh, the entire Basie band came there as well. But this particular time, Marcus Roberts was there, and Marcus heard me playing in a small group setting, and he asked the teachers to bring him that trumpet player because he wanted to work with him. So I went to his room that they gave him at the college, and we played a little bit, and he said to me, I can tell that you have talent, but you don't practice because your playing is chaotic and it lacks order. And I was like, oh my God. But those were the most beautiful words that anyone has ever said to me, because Marcus is the cat who said, okay, you got talent, but I'm not sure if I can curse on this, but he said, but you're bullshitting. That's what he said. You're not taking this, you're not taking this seriously, so this is what you got to do. So I was like, wow, yes, sir. So I got my pencil, start taking notes. But Marcus was asking me, about my upbringing, and I told him I was from Georgia, from the Baptist Church. And Marcus is the first person to teach me how to bend notes, like I was just doing to you earlier. He said, how would your mother sing that phrase? And I said, no. She was thinking like this. And then I was like, and then I started playing that way because of Marcus Roberts, because I was afraid I didn't understand that playing jazz is more than just playing notes and playing the right chords, and the right rhythms. It's putting your heart, putting your identity into the music, the way that Charlie Parker did, the way that Louis Armstrong did, the way that Miles Davis, Chet Baker, whomever. So Marcus was the cat that taught me how to do that, and that's why I consider him my greatest influence.
You've had a lot of other really great legends and luminaries that have been around you, and my question is, during this absence of live music, during a pretty difficult time, that puts it mildly, for the jazz community, because live music isn't happening, what memories are you drawing on that are making you strong, that are making you feel good about just your life and music?
And you're asking all the right questions. This last night, I let's see, I was preparing for this class I'm teaching on Wednesday about gospel to blues to jazz, and I remember that there was this cassette of my grandfather singing, and of course, I'm like, it's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. My wife and I just moved to this house here in Jersey a few years ago, and we still have like tons of boxes. So I decided to just go through some boxes, and the first box I went through, I found the tape. But along with that cassette tape, I found like another 200 cassette tapes of me practicing, back in college, and gigs I did, and when I was in college in Florida. early gigs, with Lincoln Center, early gigs with my. I haven't gone through all the tapes yet, but I also found a Sony mini disc player that is now obsolete, and I put the first one in, and the first one in is let's see, I have this Yamaha keyboard, and it has a memory bank, and I used to record tunes and leave them on there, but it only has the capacity to record 4 songs at a time. So I would just keep recording them, and I would save them in the bank, but if I needed to use that space to record another tune, I recorded what was on the bank to an external device, and I forgot that I put all those songs. So I was reintroduced to about 20 songs I wrote, like dating back to like 1998 or 1999, and I was up all night long until like maybe 6 o'clock in the morning listening to them. So I'm like, wow, this is me. I'm 53 years old now, and that was like 30 something years ago, and just hearing that history and knowing that it's still me, that really sparked me, and I'm so psyched to just go through all these tapes. It's going to take me maybe a few weeks. First and foremost, I have to find a cassette player because I don't have one of those anymore. But just understanding that even if I don't know, just getting to that stage of my life to where I'm as hungry as I've ever been musically, and hearing things from my early development, from those developmental stages, and I realized, wow, I'm still hungry and I still want to do this, and that's me. It's maybe a few times through the night I got kind of teary because it's like, wow, this is emotional. It's very special. So that's going to help me just to keep going, and maybe another 30 years from now, if I'm around, I'll listen to those tapes again and all the tapes I've made in between now and then, and just know that I'm creating my own little legacy, and I'm very grateful to be able to just to play music and just to create music and hopefully make people feel good.
We're going to eventually get out of this, and we're going to get into a live environment. So what realizations do you hope both musician and audience gets from this time away?
Well, I hope that people understand the value of live music, myself included. I perform all the time. I'm touring all the time. I don't go out and listen to music like I used to when I was younger. I'm dying to hear someone play now, man. So hopefully this will. I know that a lot of musicians are struggling now too. We're okay, because I got the job at Lincoln Center, but there's a lot of freelance musicians who are really having a hard time, and I hope that the economy can get better. I hope that the world can get better and just allow the beauty of music to heal us, and also and also support the musicians who are playing it. But that's the thing I take from it, is just I take for granted the fact that playing music makes people happy, and this is something that I always tell students, and I realize it because I'm doing it all the time. But my motto to students, or my saying to students, is just know that as a musician, you have the power to heal and to touch people, and in turn, it heals and touches you. I realize that I miss healing people, and I miss being healed by what I'm giving out to people, and when they give back to me, whether it's just someone listening to my music, or me hearing someone else play, So, it's music is something that I think people take for granted, but they shouldn't, because that's what the world needs.
I agree, man. Why do you love jazz?
Why do I love jazz? I love music in general, not just jazz. But why do I love jazz? It's just something, just the art of creation, and it's a science, and something that I realize at times when I'm practicing, I can just take a chord change and just create something over it, and know exactly what I'm doing, and that's my skill. That's what God gave me, and everyone doesn't have that. People can hear that, but everyone doesn't have it, and I realize that it's a skill, it's a gift, and it's something that it's just in my heart just to create. And like I said, even before I knew how to play jazz, I was still improvising. I was in church, just like, making up harmonies and hearing all the deacons and the deaconesses and the preachers and the choir members just making their own harmonies, but not talking about it from a theoretical standpoint, like this is the dominant seventh, this is the third, this is the fifth. We didn't talk about that. We just sang and we just created, and that's what's catapulted my playing ability as far as being a jazz musician. I love jazz because I can create, because it makes me feel good, and again, like I said before, it makes people feel good, and that makes me feel good again.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fan base, but you're the one living your life. Who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, a work in progress. Really, I'm a work in progress. That's something that's a deep question. I could go on and on about that, but to give you a short answer, I am evolving each and every day, and tomorrow is not promised. So if my life were to end, well, I don't want to jinx it. Okay, well, if it does, it does. If my life were to end today, then I can maybe kind of establish some kind of legacy or some kind of story of who I am. But I know that there's more to come, and so I can speak of what I am now. I'm blessed, and life can be difficult sometimes, but again, I'm grateful that I have music, and I'm grateful that I have, the God that I serve as well. That's very important for me, is to know that and to cling to that, because if I cling to that, that's all that I need, So I'm a man who believes in his faith, who loves music, who loves people, who loves to learn, who is very shy sometimes, and who is very outgoing sometimes, who loves to write music, who loves to create music, who loves to hear other people play, who loves to make people feel good, who is very vulnerable at times, insecure sometimes, but very confident at times as well. So that's me in a nutshell.
Cool, man. Marcus, hey, thanks for your time. I've always been a big fan. Thank you for the music.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Georgia, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Marcus for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.